it's Natalie, and today I have a brand new cosplay tutorial for you. This one is all about how to take a prom dress you maybe already have or something you picked up at the thrift store into a fairy dress you can actually wear to Ren Fair, Comic-Con, or even Halloween. And I know it looks super complicated from the outside and all the steps, but I'm going to walk you through step by step how to do this. So if you have a dress and you're ready to go, let's get started. Here is the dress before I do anything to it. This was actually completely ripped and broken when I got it. I bought this from a dress store for $10 from their broken section. I love the dress how it is, but I don't really have a use for it, so time to make it a fairy dress. Step 1 is to get that zipper out unless you plan on keeping the zipper. This entails a lot of seam ripping, but carefully remove the zipper going thread by thread to take it out. To fix this dress originally, I actually put this zipper in, so it's a little weird ripping it out now. Now it's time to separate the seam that attaches the skirt to the bodice. And you guessed it, this is more seam ripping. While it is tedious, luckily this is pretty simple and straightforward. You're just disassembling the dress at this point. Now it's time for the first big chop. Dodging that inner liner that we worked so hard to separate, we're now going to cut the main bodice from the dress. You actually want a little bit of extra fabric to work with here, so just cut out the general shape, leaving some extra behind. You'll need that fabric for the next step. And after all that hard work, it is finally free. Now you should have something that looks like this. To hide and secure that seam that we tore apart into earlier, we're going to fold that excess fabric over and cover all of that mess. And once I try it and see exactly how much fabric I need for the fold over, I go ahead and cut the rest to match that length. Then I can get started pinning this all into place. For any of those spots that have a seam from the previous dress, I go ahead and just cut those out to keep this from getting too clunky. And I just continue to pin until I have the whole thing complete. Once we have something that looks like this, we can move on to the next step, which is hand sewing this all into place. And call me crazy, but I actually hand sewed both sides for the flattest outcome possible. I did this with a simple slip stitch. Basically just going back and forth between the bodice fabric and the new seam I'm making. This is surprisingly pretty quick to do and a very sturdy stitch. Once that is complete, we can move on to something a little more fun. It's time to free up those appliques on the other side of that seam we were just working on. For this, you want to cut as close as possible without harming the actual flower applique. And we'll do this for the entire border of the flowers. And you should have something that looks like this. As you can see, it's really worth taking your time and getting each individual shape. Moving on to the back, we have our ribbon, which link in the description below, and we're going to need 2 pieces of the same length of this ribbon. And that length will be where you want your corset to be. Also cut 2 pieces of interfacing just like this that irons on. These should be the same length and width of your ribbon. Go ahead and place the glue side down, which is always the more textured side of the interfacing, on the wrong side of your ribbon. Typically the more silky side is on the outside and the rougher matte side is on the inside. Follow your interfacing instructions for getting that down, and repeat to the other piece of ribbon. Fold your ribbon long ways in half with the interfacing on the inside and go ahead and press. You are currently making the panel for your grommets to go in for your corset back. As you can see, all of the interfacing is on the inside, it's double layered, so it's really sturdy. Now we're going to line it up with our back piece and pin into place. In later steps, this will fold over and be really pretty. Once you know how much excess fabric you're going to have, go ahead and fold that in and iron it as well, or just pin into place like I did. This will give you a more clean and sturdy finish. If you want even more structure, you can add an extra channel here with a seam going down long ways and add some more boning, but I didn't do that. I didn't really think it was necessary for this project. Another option is folding it in, as you can kind of see here, and adding your grommets through the lace and that layer. This can also help with shrinking the dress if it's too big. But anyways, here's the grommets I'm using for this project. And I go ahead and mark on my ribbon exactly where I want my grommets to go and make sure they're evenly spaced out. I start by making a hole exactly where my mark is because I know that's the middle of the grommet. Then I take the top piece of the grommet, center it over that mark, and I make an indent, which then I cut an X, starting from the little hole I made, reaching to the ends of that indent. This ensures a proper fit and that I don't cut too big of a hole. And once I wiggle that through, it's time to complete the grommet. Most grommets come with instructions, but it basically goes that safety plate at the bottom, the second part of your grommet over the fabric and that first part, and then you hammer the stick portion of the applicator in like so. And once you do that a bunch of times, you should have something that looks like this. Since we added interfacing, these grommets are nice and sturdy, and we can add in our ribbon. Once you lace your ribbon in and burn the edges so your bow doesn't fray, you should have something that looks like this. Personally, I was not a fan of the top part of this dress. I think it really dated it, so I went ahead and cut all of this netting off. I did the same technique as the bottom of this bodice, and it's really easy. You're just cutting around the appliques, making sure not to cut the threads of the applique itself. If there were any pieces that were obviously too long and would be unsupported later, I went ahead and cut those off. Once we have finally cut off the last of that netting, we are ready to see what we have, and I completely envisioned just a crisscross strap going from those 2 points. I also cut free that neck part, and I thought it was a really cute necklace for this. But let's go ahead and make that strap. I took some bias tape that was already folded in half and just sewed a seam down that one edge so it was sturdy. Then I wanted to add some bedazzlement to it, so I had these iron-on stones. I used a pillowcase to keep them safe, and I went ahead and pressed those on to that bias tape strap I just made. I left a little bit of the strap with no stones for easy attachment, but I went ahead and ironed the rest of the stones on. And it looks like this. I absolutely love the touch of sparkle that those stones brought. And look at it sparkle. Here it is with the necklace on. And here is how that back turned out. How cute. It looks so much like a fairy to me with the thicker ribbon. Here is a quick photo of it on with a skirt I have pinned together. If you like this tutorial and you want to see more, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.